Good afternoon, everybody. My name is NavajoYES. I'm the First Lady of the Navajo Nation. I'm originally from Big Mountain. That's where I was raised, and it's where I grew up, with miles and miles of open space around me. And I think I grew up spending probably 90% of my childhood outdoors. And that's just for leisure, but it's also for everything else that we had to do, including chopping wood, bringing in water, taking care of livestock, and the rest were all fun things that you do as a child, just running around everywhere, exploring different places, riding bikes. And I grew up with 9 other siblings, so it was just a very fun childhood. And so growing up with animals was just a huge influence on my life as well. We had horses, and horseback riding is something that I have very fond memories of. So all of that kind of leads into, one of our priorities as First Lady is outdoor recreation. And that's one of the reasons why I chose that as one of our priorities. And so for this conference, Navajo Trails and Outdoor Rec Conference, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but we didn't want to wait until things opened back up before we could hold a conference. We've been doing virtual events for probably a good year now. So I think we're pretty good doing all our Zoom sessions now. And so we're bringing in different organizations, different people, promoting a lot of our priorities virtually. So I just want to welcome everybody to the 2021 Navajo Trails and Outdoor Recreation Conference. It's going to run today and to tomorrow. So I hope a lot of you will join us for this 2-day event. Recreation, outdoor recreation, it has so many benefits. And, I never really thought about that growing up. It wasn't until I was probably in my university years before I realized, there are so many benefits to all of, just getting outdoors every single day. And so I know a lot of times we don't want to head outdoors as Navajo kids because we envision it's because you're told to go after the sheep, or you're told to go get firewood or bring water or something like that. There's that, we equate it with almost like labor, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. There's so many ways to enjoy it. And so for the Navajo Nation, we have our Parks and Rec Department. And we have our Navajo Nation parks, and we really want to be in the business of promoting our Navajo Nation parks, as well as promoting organizations and everyone out there who's involved with getting kids outdoor, families outdoor. There's so many benefits to parks and recreation as a whole, but getting outdoors is really something that we want to encourage everybody, especially right now in the middle of a pandemic. You can still get outdoors safely to engage in a lot of these activities. But, just to mention a few of the benefits of getting outdoors and recreating. And when we talk about recreation, we're talking about just simple walking outdoors on a trail. It could be biking, could be hiking, it could be horseback riding, it could be fishing, camping, all those things. And I know some of those things we can't really do in the middle of COVID-19, but it can still be done, especially if you have just a few individuals, or even as just by yourself, you can get on a bike and get out there or get walking. And so, scientifically, we can tell you that just getting outdoors, going on these little adventures as a family, or just with, father, son, just with your kids, it builds family unity. Families that recreate together, they tend to be closer, they're more cohesive, and they improve their chances of staying together. So you're talking about building a bond within your family units, and that's something that's especially needed. And so that's one thing. And then if we were in pre-COVID times, a lot of places, they would have been running after school programs. And when we talk about latchkey kids, and it's when kids don't have anything to do, when there's no programs where that are providing opportunities for them to engage in, that's where you see a higher rates of them getting involved with drug abuse, with juvenile delinquency, and all those things, and even just a decrease in how well they're doing academically. So all of this, it really does affect our quality of life in a lot of different ways. But on the other hand, if you look at all the positive things that come out of it, you're looking at so many ways that it can affect our lives in a positive way. And then the other thing, diseases. So when you're talking about on the Navajo Nation, for example, we have high rates of diabetes, we have cardiovascular disease, pressure, and especially right now, there's a lot of people or when you get into talking about just exercising, even for an hour a day, and just getting outside, getting fresh air, getting some sunlight, and just being out there, whether it's digging the dirt, walking in the forest, any of those things really do help. And the other thing it does is it builds your self-esteem. So any place that runs any type of programs, all person, and especially for our youth, this is so important. That's where they're going to build all this, and they're going to between expose and to have our from other people's that they might we don't want them to learn any of those bad stereotypes about other people, but the more they're exposed to just engaging in activity with people that are not just Navajos, that will do just wonderful things for them. And then there's nothing more that's something. We have 110 chapters across the Navajo Nation, and imagine if every single chapter had safe places for our families and our children to go to, whether it's just to bike, whether it's just to hike, whether it's to go fishing, to go to a weight room, to go to commuters down the road. They should have trails running across the Navajo Nation. So all of these things, I get excited about all of this. And when people are looking at a place to work, a place to live, this is one of the most important components. When you're thinking about your quality of life and where you want to raise your children, you want there to be parks, programs nearby. Where are the nature centers? Are there zoos around? Are there trails? Where can I go for to take my kids on some hiking trip, a biking trip? And then the other thing is building partnerships with not just within the Navajo Nation organizations, whether it's through the government programs, the nonprofit programs, but also to go beyond our Navajo Nation borders and to build those partnerships. There's so many good organizations across the U.S. and even globally who are doing great work, and you're going to hear some of their presentations today and tomorrow. There's a lot of good things that are lined up on the agenda, and I hope you do attend and be a part of some of these presentations. But for Navajo Nation, I know we're right in the middle of COVID-19, but there are ways to get out there still. Remember that. And just remember to get outdoors at least 1 hour a day. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you could get outdoors and go get firewood. I mean, you're getting your exercise in, you're being outdoors. I'm sure, that just remember You still got to keep a distance between yourselves, even when you're outdoors. So I just want to encourage everybody to keep doing those things. And then, of course, thank you for being here with us. And we'll be back tomorrow too. So come back tomorrow to view the rest of the presentations. But yeah, thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Etty Anderson Abbas. I'm going to go ahead and I am at the care crew program. He has won the grueling Montezuma's Revenge mountain bike race several times, climbed and skied the majority of Colorado's 14,000 plus peaks, and surfed countless breaks. So let's give it up for Joey Klein. Thank you, Joey.
All right, thank you. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get this thing going here. All right. And Tom, go ahead and chime in anywhere if you like, or if people can't hear me, and we'll just go through some things. So 2 years ago, I was invited to the Navajo Outdoor Rec and Trails Conference, and just like today, it was a blizzard out. The bike exchange that NavajoYES does, and I've been on the road now for almost 22 years, building and designing trails around the world. And that day, helping get kids bicycles was easily one of the most heartwarming events. You get a chance once this COVID thing's all done is to get out there with Tom and Raiji and witness this and be a part of it. Because it was great getting kids on bikes, and everybody who wanted a bike, it wasn't just offered. They had to chime in, and the girl got see from the picture, it's cold, it's snowing, and these kids are out there just bombing around on bicycles. They have brand new helmets from NavajoYES. Just a great program. And while I was down there, the Katina Foundation also hired me out to do some trails concept planning, and we had intended to just do a few places, but in the end, we ended up doing 4 different chapters, and that was Kayenta, Baklabato, Kaibato, and Lichiti chapters. And you know, it really sit in well with close to home. So you can get to right from your neighborhood, or you know, right out the gate. That's the more it'll be accessible, especially for kids. that they don't have to be driven to the trail. The partners, whether they're equestrians or hikers or trail runners, we work with all these different organizations and groups. And I'm part of IMA Trail Solutions, which is trail design. Always going to be those constraints and opportunities. And a lot of outsiders, as they travel through the Navajo Nation, their eyes are big because they see all this great slick rock and all this open space. But, living here, we know that there's also a lot of constraints.